Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first official episode of the Brass Ringers podcast. We're live. We're doing it live, and unfortunately, both of my co-hosts had to bail because of familial obligations, but as Freddie Mercury once said, the show must go on, so here I am. I'm your host, Merlot Williams, and we're going to be talking a little bit about NXT that aired on the 18th of February, 2015. You might kind of catch me stumbling a little bit, and since we are doing it live, I don't have the luxury of editing out like my botched spots, so to speak. So we're gonna go ahead and roll with it. The show started off with a recap of the events of last week's NXT TakeOver Rival. So if you missed that, I have a review on this channel, so you can go ahead and check that out if you missed it. William Regal opened the show by making Owens, saying that he was a prize fighter and he only fights for a prize. He set up a match between he and Adrian Neville. And we're going to get to that in a little bit later in the show, but holy cow, it was a good match. But we'll reach that point when we get there. Regal says that Owens doesn't make the rules, and he does, and that brought on the match. Kevin Owens would then come out to address the crowd and address the events of last week. When he came out, there were dueling chants of Fight Owens Fight or Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens would call out Finn Balor and said he would fight him anytime at any place and that he just needed to go to Regal and make the date. So it looks like they're moving forward with the Balor-Owens program, or at least Balor is next up on the docket for Kevin Owens. So I have no doubt that that's going to be a good match, being that this is one of the indie legends that is now in NXT. We had a bit of a surprise after this, as the first match went live. Rhino, fresh out of his stint in TNA, was in NXT. He went out and squashed a jobber. The crowd popped huge for him. Everybody likes seeing one of the legends return, or, well, at least he's a really well-known name. He entertained the WWE Universe for a long, long time. So I'm not surprised that Rhino got the pop that he did. Squashed a jobber. It was really underwhelming. It was more the surprise that Rhino was there. After the match, it cuts to Finn Balor being interviewed backstage after Owens' comments, and he addressed him and said, we both fight for a prize. We're both going to be here for the long haul, and we're looking to chase the NXT title. And Rhino kind of did a bump and stare, and that ended the interview. After this, the Vaudevillians versus Enzo and Big Kaz was the next matchup on the card. It was an underwhelming match, and I don't know about anybody that might be listening, but I really don't give a shit about the Vaudevillains. The Vaudevillains never really did it for me, especially after they changed the entrance music. Their old entrance music was way better. And Enzo comes out and with Kaz and Carmella and is doing his usual entrance shtick. And I see Carmella, and Carmella is a gorgeous girl, but I absolutely hate those high-waisted shorts. They just look awful on her. The thing of it is Carmella's ass isn't that big. If Nicki Minaj or Iggy Azalea, they wear those pants because they have to. Their butts are so big that the pants they don't cover all of their ass. But Carmella, it was just absolutely useless for her to wear those pants. It just looked awful. And as soon as they got a close up on Enzo Amore, I'm like, holy shit, what in the fuck did this guy do to his beard? He's already has the kind of he's done the cheetah pattern in his hair and stuff like that before. But he does, he's got the regular, handlebar mustache in brown and then dyed the rest of his beard blonde. And it just looks awful. But but Enzo and Kaz would go over in this match, and then Blake and Murphy appear on the Titantron, the big screen in the back, and they actually started making lewd comments to Carmella, saying, hey, if you want to leave those two sewer rats and come be with some true champions, you know where to find us. So it looks like they're trying to steal Enzo and Kaz's valet. We then cut to Adrian Neville, who will cut a backstage promo on Kevin Owens in the upcoming match. And the next segment was current jobber CJ Parker, coming out saying, "Oh, you're going to leave me off the takeover special," and blah, blah, blah. And nobody gives a fuck about CJ Parker. I'm sorry. He's interrupted by the debuting Solomon Crow, and Crow beat him up real quick, tore down the caution tape that Parker had put down, and that was it. The next match on the card would be Sasha Banks up against Blue Pants, who is over like Rover in the NXT arena. She's great. The match was short and underwhelming. Not really the greatest outing for the new champion, because we all know that Sasha Banks can go. Sasha Banks is a great wrestler, but it seemed just underwhelming. There wasn't a whole lot of offense from either of them, and Sasha Banks would go over with the bank statement in her first match as the NXT Women's Champion. Nothing really special to talk about. There was one funny note that I did notice, though, is that when Blue Pants came out, her text for her name was actually blue on the screen, so that was kind of funny. We then got sort of a non-update on Sami Zayn. They did CAT scans and blah, 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 and yeah, he's okay. So yeah, if you watch the NXT TakeOver Rival review that I did last week, I got worked. Sami Zayn wasn't really hurt, but he's on the current Abu Dhabi tour, and so they expect him back soon. I don't know how long the Abu Dhabi tour is going to be, but we haven't lost. Like, Zayn isn't really injured, so that's good news. And yeah, that was the sort of update, but not update on Sami Zayn. And then the main event of the night was Adrian Neville against Kevin Owens in a non-title match. Neville would go and get a flurry of offense in early, but Owens would turn the tide on him pretty quickly and just dominate for about half the match, just beat the shit out of him. At one point, Owens tried to throw Neville over the top rope, and a person in the crowd, like, it got kind of quiet, and you could hear a person in the crowd go, "Here we go again." So I kind of got a chuckle out of that. As the action would spill to the outside, Neville hit a moonsault from the top rope to the floor, which was impressive, and nobody had to bump on the ramp that time, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, now you see, this is the kind of stuff that I edit out, because I had a train of thought going, and then I kind of lost it. The action would spill. The action would pick back up, and Neville had Owens on the floor and hit a floor 50 splash from the ring apron to the floor, which looked just brutal. Nice thud from there, so that was great. Oh God, the pain that these guys put themselves through is just ridiculous. At one point, Corey Graves, with Owens getting worked over by Neville, had said, "Oh, we've never seen Kevin Owens like this in the whole entire time he's been here." Yeah, he's only been there for a couple of months, and he's only wrestled like 4 matches. This is what, his 5th match? Because he squashed CJ Parker on not Rival, but the special before that. And then he wrestled Adrian Neville, and then he wrestled Sami Zayn, and then took the title. So yeah, this is his 4th match, and he's only wrestled 3 guys. So yeah, it's not really like you're gonna. Of course, he's not gonna get worked over like that. Owens would turn the tide on Neville again and try his cannonball senton in the corner. Neville counters with a super kick into just a devastating looking standing reverse Hurricane Rana, just spiked Owens' head right into the mat. I actually winced when I was watching this. It was brutal. I know I say that word a lot, but I look at these guys, and I guess I could say, like, you're a smart fan. I don't really know a whole hell of a lot about the inner workings of the wrestling business, but I know that some of these moves, like, they have to hurt. They just have to. Shortly after this, Neville would attempt his red arrow, but miss as Owens springs up, and he runs right into a pop-up powerbomb, and Kevin Owens wins the match. This match alone made it worth the show, but the rest of the show was pretty well underwhelming. I mean, we can't have winners every week, and I don't really know what we would expect coming off of the takeover rival last week with just, I mean, the card was great top to bottom, save for maybe the tag match, and then Baron Corbin and Bull Dempsey. So you just not a great show, but I'd give it a good rating overall just because of the main event. So that was your show for NXT on the 18th of February, 2015. I will be back next week at the same time, hopefully with my co-hosts. I hope they don't have any other prior engagements. And until next time, keep reaching for that brass ring. Thanks for tuning in.